Welcome back to another episode of Chasing Independence. I'm your host, Chase Selmeyer. And what is going on, my people? Hope you guys are doing safe, staying well, staying cool in this hot summer. Down here in Florida, we've had our daily July showers every few minutes. And that's always fun when we're trying to dodge between the boat or you're on the lake and you see a big bolt of lightning just on the other side. You're like, do I stay out? I got a metal tower in my head. I don't know. Hide under a tree? Yeah, I don't know. Stupid shit happens like when you're on the lake having fun. So anyways, it's been great though. I'm not complaining. It's been a crazy few weeks though. Got back from my road trip end of June. Had a really banging 4th of July. And then it's just been really nonstop, head down, trying to work. I've got not only this podcast, but my marketing company, Kanga Marketing. I've been rebranding that since early January, actually. I left a company that I took over their marketing with for a year. And we are, really kind of, they started backtracking some things they promised me. So I left. I was like, I'm going to go back and build my company, build my projects. And that's what I did. So we're right now, I'm like literally kind of rebuilding kangamarketing.com. Building that into what the new brand is going to look like. Everything from experiences, collaborations. We're going to work more kind of in the advertising space and media space. So not only in production, but how to kind of get that content seen and help companies work on their ROI. So this has been a lot of fun, stressful as well, because I'm a kind of a fanatic when it comes to the perfection of what I want my stuff to look like. So and in that kind of whole like vein and stuff, it caused me to miss posting a podcast last Monday, which would have been the time I should have posted one because I was trying to do them every 2 weeks. But in this whole road trip time and everything, trying to plan and all this shit going down, I literally was like, well, I'm going to go back, start finding a way to systemize the show, make it more available, and actually be able to do more episodes. So bear with me as I try to figure this out again, and thank you guys for being here. But today I've got an awesome guest, actually a return guest. You guys know his name, Shane Levi Gould, the founder of Fuel Clothing. I catch up with him as his home headquarter offices in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And the reason I really wanted to talk to him another time was about white labeling and private labeling. As you know, Fuel Clothing is a huge lifestyle brand, but his ability to build this back-end company of white label and private labeling for 500 plus brands is really remarkable. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. Let's kick it off, and I'll catch you guys at the end of the show. Ciao.
You don't want to go to somebody and you have no idea what the end result's going to be and waste 6 months, a year on time, or even just a lot of money, when you can go to someone who's proven and say, okay, we know that they do a very, very good sock. We know the quality's there. We tried it. We tested it. Everybody's using it. Okay, it's better to go partner with someone like that that's got that down. So we've really just controlled the sock market in that arena.
What's up, everybody? Chase here with the Chasing Independence podcast. We're back with another episode, and I've got a return guest, first of many. I'm really stoked. Up here in Hilton Head Island with my buddy Shane from Fuel Clothing. What up, Shane?
What's up? What's up?
Dude, I saw you like a month and a half ago in Florida. We were at that hotel. You were for a motocross event, got canceled. We were talking all about the biz, learned a lot of things. Didn't realize your white labeling business was as big as it was. And COVID hit, and we literally said, I think, you're going to come back that Monday, get in the war room, and figure out what's going on. So what happened since I saw you last?
Well, as one thing I can say about a small business, and this is exactly the greatest thing of being in business for yourself or being a small business in America, you can bob and weave extremely quick. We found out we had an issue. We had to resolve it. What are we going to do? We didn't know the circumstances of how things would change as far as people buying products or where they're going to buy or how it's going to happen. But we understood that, wait a second, we have to figure something out. Our private label business is an extremely good source of income for us. It's a great revenue for our business and our customers. And we were like, wait a second, we got to figure this out. We had wanted to do neck gaiters for the snowboard and fishing and skiing and that sort of off-road side-by-side use. And we finally were just like put in a position where we needed to make it happen fast to go ahead and help our customers with what they needed.
Let's talk a little about your customer base. You've got the white label business. What are your core products for that business?
Well, it started off as socks. We've been in socks for over 20 years now, but socks is really our primary product. Then beanies were in the same factory. We started doing beanies maybe 15 years ago for these customers. And then, really started doing hats pretty strong as well. It was like we want to keep everything very simple, accessories that are easy, everybody needs, but we want full custom. It's not just buy a hat, put your logo on it, and you're done. It's full custom from ground up. So for us to add in neck gaiter and face mask to those three already, outstanding pieces was just natural progression. And we were small enough that we could make that move, figure it out, go to the factories, design it, have it done, and literally implement it within a week. We had already launched it out to all of our 500 plus, private label customers. And of course there was something they needed.
So you built the system over the last, when you start kind of white labeling, or when did you figure out again that white labeling was going to become the future of your business?
Well, I didn't, when we first started the brand, we didn't think of that, 28 years ago, I didn't think of it, but about, I would say roughly 17 years ago, I started doing a few things for some people, like Michelin tires, talking 17, 20 years ago. And then as it kind of got a little bit more, I just started picking up more and more brands, and I was like, wait a second, this is something that I can do. They know they can trust me to do it. I've got the factories to do it, and I have the technology as far as like how to manufacture product and source it. And it literally just snowballed from, 10 accounts, 20, 50, 100, 500 customers. And now we're over that. And it, we don't take it lightly when we add a product to our list. To keep it very, very simple, because people know that we make snowboard wear, and they know we make board shorts and sweatshirts and t-shirts. But I've really said, listen, we're only going to do these three things: hats, socks, and beanies. And really takes a lot of effort to add a new category, because you just don't want to do it and then do it wrong. So you got to make sure that when you do bring something in, that you have it bulletproof, the price is right, the delivery's right, the product itself is right. So that's number one. And for us to implement it that quickly and bring it in, we already had the system working so for the last almost 20 years. But realistically, the last 10 years has just been a snowball effect of really making it happen. And so because of that, us to implement something brand new, instantaneously, we've got a number of clients that are very interested in the product. And we don't take it lightly when we bring something new in.
Let's talk about pricing, I guess, a little bit. We touched on that in the first podcast with you. You said that it was more important to you to bring a client in, have a little bit of margin on there to where you could grow the product with this customer, because the first year it might not be a large bulk order, but then they'll continue to stay with you because they realize that it's great quality, good service. How do you structure that, I guess, when you're thinking about pricing structure, and what, I guess, is the overall goal in white labeling if somebody is looking to get in that business?
That's a good question. I mean, a lot of people don't realize it's a numbers game at the end of the day. I mean, honestly, everybody like to go out and make big margins and make overnight success. That's great. But I look at everything in a 10, 20 year long period. I look at very small margins, large volume, and that gives my partner, which that's what they are. They're my partner in the fact that they need to make money. They need to sell the product. They need to make their margins they need. Okay. If they're successful, I'm successful, because they'll come back to me. So we're not going out there gouging people and going, I could sell a private label hat for much more money like my competitors do, but they're not going to come back. And I'd rather get, a guy to buy 100 hats this year and maybe 300 next year and 500 the year after and 1,000 the year after that, because he's going to grow with me. And in 5 years, it makes perfect sense why I'm doing it. Some customers go from 300 units to 300,000 units. It all depends on who you are. But at the end of the day, as long as you take care of your customer and make sure they have the opportunity to make good money in return, they will come back. Obviously, it's quality service delivery is number one. But if you don't gouge somebody, they're more than likely going to stick with you through the long run. And long haul is my game. That's what we play.
I've seen even at expos, a few that I've been to in the past, and I never saw these 5-8 years ago. Actual companies are advertising themselves as private, as white labeling brands. Have you seen that kind of pop up as well more? And are they, and it seems to be they're offering 10, 20, 30 lines of products. Is that, what do you think about that?
Well, this is the thing. When I started the apparel business back in 92, which is obviously, it seems like a lifetime ago, nobody really had, you could find a Hanes Beefy Tee blank t-shirt and put your logo on it. But as far as like going, hey, I want a blank board short or a walk short or, any other product to really kind of navigate yourself or promote your own brand, which I can get into later, but brands aren't what they used to be. Now we have a whole nother dynamic of what brands are, what influencers are, they're branding themselves, and YouTubers and athletes. But realistically, that has made it much easier for the common guy who knows nothing about cut and sew, which I call CMT, cut, muck, and trim, scaling, making the product. I mean, there's literally a lot of work to design a board short or a t-shirt or anything. You don't think that, but there is. And then realistically, those products are more and more available now to that guy who does have 500,000 followers on Instagram or YouTube, and he wants to go ahead and private label something and create a brand because he has reach now. And if he can sell 30,000 t-shirts a month, those are days of big brands used to do those numbers. And now it's every common, guy out there that really has a reach. So brands have really taken a back seat to these people. But private label, as long as they're doing it and they're organic to what the thing is and they really understand, like, hey, we're doing board shorts only. But when you go to a company and they're like, hey, I'll make you Bic pens and I'll make you a koozie and all that, that's crap. That's not really, that's not how it works. And the one thing what makes ours different is we do truly make it a full custom product. We don't just say, oh, put your logo on here, this is all you get. No, you create from scratch. So that's
you
the
have
benefit.
a few hats behind you. Maybe you pull one of those monster ones or something. I know, and show that off a little bit because it's amazing. Or even the insides of them have the branding, the logos, and everything. Yeah,
sublimation, like wood paneling, full sublimation hats, interior seam tapes. So that's the thing is as fun as like all these are great products, and they really are truly their product and just their brand and their identity. And it doesn't, it starts obviously from a shell that we start with, but we create their brand. And that's at the end of the day, they're selling their brand. We're helping them as a partner sell their brand.
Yeah. And you even said in the last podcast that yes, they could go out and figure out, Michigan could go out and figure out how to do the sock game and the hat, but for the amount of the upsell that they're paying you and the time, it makes a lot of sense for them to just come to you and have a better quality product.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's a margins game. They could go spend the time, go find someone in China and go on some website and try to figure it out and then find out the sizing's right or the quality's right or the delivery's wrong or whatever. And we don't, like I said, we're just looking on small margins, but we do such big volume. So we have great partners, and it's like anything else. You don't want to go to somebody and you have no idea what the end result's going to be and waste 6 months, a year on time, or even just a lot of money when you can go to someone who's proven and say, okay, we know that they do a very, very good sock. We know the quality's there. We tried it. We tested it. Everybody's using it. Okay, it's better to go partner with someone like that that's got that down. So we've really just controlled the sock market in that arena of our branding and private label, where our competitors don't do that.
If somebody's looking to get into private labeling and building kind of a product line or even a single product that they can go out and resell like you have, where do they start? Like what would be the first step? Maybe somebody they're looking to dive in.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, but it's all about being hyper focused. You first have to really truly understand that product better than anyone else. Secondly, not just understand it, but have actually tested it. going out there, creating that brand or creating that product and building it and doing it over and over and over and really making sure it's perfect. It takes, like I said, I've been doing socks since the 90s, but I didn't offer socks to people till, probably 2000 some. So, I mean, it took probably 10 years before I actually started doing other people's socks, like it wasn't just like, oh, make this and I'm going to turn it over. No, it wasn't my mindset back there. The way of selling products was different. Everything was different then. So it wasn't like I created that sock to be like, oh, I'm going to do this to private label and later. No, that was never the thought process. But then again, a lot of things have changed. Brick and mortar has suffered. Obviously, online has picked up and direct to consumer has picked up, and all these things have changed. And when I noticed, when we went from brick and mortar to online, instead of competing against 50 brands in the surf shop, now we're competing against 5,000 brands on the internet. And I was like, wait a second, I can't beat these guys at what they're doing social media wise. It's, just the exposure level and their fame or whatever it is that get them noticed out there. But I know that I can make a product better than they can. I know that I can produce a product and sell it to them, and they can sell it to their. So it's a win situation.
You're really selling the miners the pickaxe, right? I mean, it's the kind of analogy where they have a need to fill from a product standpoint, and you have the system already in place to continue to build that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just a system,
experience.
Yeah, it is.
It's the understanding that you've gone through. Yeah.
Yeah. You've made all the mistakes. You can figure them out. These guys that are, let's say, YouTubers or musicians or athletes, they have full-time gigs. That's their thing, is to do those jobs. They're not sitting around trying to figure out how do I make a pattern or grading or figure out how I'm going to make this product better. That's not their job. Their job is, okay, well, I have a voice and I can sell product. Let me go ahead and have someone who makes some stuff for me. And they reach out to usually merch companies. And there's a lot of merch companies that do bands and they do YouTubers and such like that. Those merch companies then come to me and I manufacture it for them. So it's a win situation for everybody.
When you were starting out, how were you kind of finding clients, again, maybe before the merch companies were involved?
Well, us being in the action sports industry, we would go out there and I would look at hard good companies, because hard goods weren't making soft goods typically. If you were a snowboard company, you made a little bit of soft goods, but you really didn't make it that wasn't your main focus. And if you were like a motorcycle, if you were a tire company, or if you were an exhaust company, or if you were a racing team, that's not your focus. So I'm giving the expertise to those people and saying, listen, don't worry about this part of it. I will do it for you. And I'm going to do it for you very fairly. And I'm going to give you the best product at the best price and make sure everybody's happy. Like I said, as long as they're doing their job as a professional motocross racer or a surfer or a snowboarder or whatever it is, or a YouTuber, those guys have their job already. If I can help them, navigate the apparel part and build their own brand and have them be successful on that avenue as well, it's a win situation, because those guys have a window. They need to make some money and they don't want to fuck up a lot, and this is just a perfect way to say, okay, you know what? Let's not screw up this. Let's figure it out. Let's use somebody that has knowledge. They don't have the time or money to hire someone like myself to come in and be, the brand manager. So basically I'm like a mini brand manager to 500 plus companies in the apparel business.
That's really cool. Yeah. So let's go back a little bit then to the question of, somebody's looking to get into this. You said, of course, it wasn't on the forefront of your mind when you started the Fuel Clothing originally, but we had this conversation a little bit over dinner. But, if somebody's in a space like an athlete who has a voice, has a profession, and they're looking maybe to not only build a brand for themselves, but create something similar to this, what's some advice you're trying to give? Because, I think that whole idea of the testing and being forefront and understanding what you're using is a lot of value, because that's something that a lot of people can't bring to the table. So are they looking for opportunity maybe in a product that they use all the time that's not good, or they're coming across products that have bad reviews or breaking? I definitely think there's something there.
Well, you're right. I mean, when I was on the snowboard tours as a professional snowboarder, I did the same thing. The company, I rode for Sims for a lot of years. They would send product out. I would sit there and go, this isn't right. This is what we should try to change. And same thing I did some time, some R&D stuff with Burton guys, same thing. They would just test boards, test bindings, test boots, test gear. And you either have that or you don't. You're either interested in that kind of, picking things apart and making them better, or you're not. It's just different breeds of people. But to get into the space that I'm into, it takes a lot of time to kind of navigate around. And then it's finding that hyper focus on what product that better than anybody else does. If it's let's just say you're a snowboarder and you really know boots and how, and you want to dive into that business, great. You're on the snow, that you have time and invested into it, and you know what you like and what you don't. Do you know how to run a business? Maybe not. Do you have the tenacity to keep going? Do you have the money? Do you have the resources? Do you have the distribution? Those are all different things now. Now that we have people that are in social media that have voices, they have a selling platform. Even though they don't know how to make a product or know anything about it, they can sell a product. That's the whole transition shift now. And I don't know if picking a product and doing it private label for other people, if that's the right thing for those people, because I think that's not really their mindset. It's years and years of experience to do that. I don't think a lot of people want, because the one thing is it's almost like a pride thing too, that, people are like, well, why do you make stuff for everybody else when you just make your own stuff? Well, I can make my own stuff, but I don't have the voice. Yeah. And I don't have the voice that they do. I don't have the millions of followers, and I don't have the people, but they do. So why don't I team up with them? And that incubates, their brand, and that also helps my brand. So I'll never give up on my passion of my brand. I mean, it's will it ever be the staple name? No. But 30, 40 years of doing it, it's provided a great, a great satisfactory feeling for myself. And I can also take that expertise and help other people build their brands. And that to me is a big deal. If I can help them build, then it's overall, it's like, hey, everybody's in this game together. Okay. We're all trying to make brands. We're all trying to do things that we can. And if you really have a passion for it, then you can be successful at it.
With the onslaught and the flood of everything coming over from China and everything that's on Amazon and eBay, and I mean, just in general, like there's just so many products that have been remaked over and over again. Are you, in your space, clearly owning socks, hats, beanies, but do you see opportunity still in kind of this business for maybe somebody, like, not necessarily jumping into it, but opportunity for somebody to become better at, like, are you ever worried that there's another sock king that can come in and make socks better? Like, is there opportunity for other brands or other
of course,
companies?
There's opportunities always. But the only major difference that I will say that I see, and it's not to pat myself on the back, it's just tenacity. It's just like grinding it day in, day out. Most people don't have the patience to do that. And that's realistically, at the end of the day, you have to have patience. And can there people do better than I am? Sure. There's people that have more money than I do. They're smarter than I am. They have maybe more opportunities, they have better connections. I've built mine literally just by handshakes and walking around for 30 years of doing the business. Mine's never been an easy, like, oh, I used to work at, the VP of Burton and now I know everybody. No, it's just happens to be that I love motocross and snowboarding and surfing and skateboarding. And I did those sports, and I learned through that to like build relationships, and those relationships turned into other brand, opportunities. But I think there's opportunity for anybody out there. I mean, obviously we're in, the greatest country in the world of entrepreneurship. I don't think that's as easy as people think it is. They think it sounds, I guess, a little sexy, but at the end of the day, it's just how hard are you going to work? Do you really want to do it? And sure, there's people out there that probably have way better ideas for branding, but as far as doing what I do, it's not that sexy, to build for other people and to be the back end guy and not be the forefront. It's not a sexy move, but I don't mind that because I know I'm helping those people. So at the end of the day, it helps me.
You're a partner in like 500 and some other companies, really.
Yeah.
It's
At the end of the
cool,
day, we're just a little piece of it, but it's enough of a piece that it gives me pride to do it, and also gives me opportunity because all of my customers are referrals. So I do one company, and then it leads to another company, and it leads to another company. Well, that means I did my job right. I didn't rip anybody off. I deliver what I want. If I screw up, I fix it, and that happens all the time. 30 years of doing this, I still screw up. And it's just, I might have created something incorrect, or just the factory didn't read it correct and they made a mistake. It happens all the time. It's just how good at you are fixing those problems. And that's really what it is. It's like, a fighter gets knocked down. How many times you get back up? Well, how many times you fuck things up, and you have to fix it and make it right. And you have to figure out how to do this without, making them lose interest or lose faith in your product. So, we don't have a lot of mistakes now because we've done it for so long, but there's people who stiff us on money, and there's people who don't get, they say they're going to do something, they don't order it, and then they do order it. And it's just, there's all kinds of navigating issues, but for the most part, we're really pretty solid on our customer and where we stand. And I don't try to tell people how to run their business. I'm just there to elevate their business.
Yeah, we're sitting here. It's 9:00 at night, and I know you just got off the computer. You're talking probably with factories. You had a few fires to put out. I mean, you're always concentrated on working with these customers. They all flow through you. How important has that been to keep that role in your hands, growing this company?
Well, first of all, the relationships that I've built with the factories are truly, they're our partner. At the end of the day, it's our bloodline. If we don't have a great relationship with our sock factory, our hat factory, our beanie factory, our face mask, any of these things, you're instantly going to have issues. And, we're not going into the COVID thing as far as what that's done to change shipping. Obviously there's a lot of shipping issues in the last 6 weeks. Airplanes are used for other things. There's a lot of, DHL, FedEx, UPS, everybody's having issues. There just isn't enough going on. There's not enough planes flying, just like, resident or regular flights. But you have to just figure those things out, and you have to work with it. Those are things that are unforeseen. People are like, oh, well, it used to take you, 3 days to ship something. Now it takes 10 days. Well, those are issues we have to figure out. It's not the end of the world, So that's one of those things, is you have to learn to bob and weave those things.
What have you done to foster your relationship with your manufacturers?
First of all, the number one thing I always tell everybody, don't ever screw with your manufacturer. That's your bloodline. Make sure you pay on time, you pay up front, make sure, I don't care if it's a mistake, you still pay for it. Okay. And as long as you're doing your job and you're doing it like you're supposed to, and you say, hey, I'm ordering this and I'm going to pay for this, and I do it, literally, I can't even count the tens of millions of dollars that I've spent with factories over the last 30 years. It's an amazing, but it's a trust thing also. They have to trust you, you have to trust them, but you can never screw with your bloodline. And it's the same thing I say with these little these partners of ours. We're trying to do the same thing. It's like, hey, we're trying here to help you. Okay. Don't screw with us. We're going to make the product. We're going to do it on time. It's build a relationship. My sock factory guy, he just flew over here to stay at my place for, like a month. You have to have those relationships. You can't just have a no-name person in the sky over in China making stuff and not, you have to really truly believe in them. Go there, be there, see them, talk to them on a daily. I just got off the phone with the Philippines right now. I talk to them on a regular basis. I've got same thing with all the factories, every single one I'm in contact with every single day. And that's a trust thing. They trust, they know that I'm going to be there. They know I'm going to, I'm going to put in the best effort to make the best product. And I expect the best out of them as well.
Yeah, I used to work with a company. They had their inventory guy, and the person would bring in all the product. would fire a factory quicker than he could keep them, just because little mistakes. And then we noticed that quality of the stuff coming in was just always so poor, and it never got better. And it's like, once you fire 3 factories, that word gets around, right? I mean, you're really concentrate on taking care of, obviously, your manufacturer. But at what point, I guess, do you shop around for new ones, or you constantly, like, you create a great relationship clear with yours?
Yeah, and that doesn't say that that's the one and only. I've been with one factory that's had 3 different owners, but I've been with the same factory. They changed. They decided to sell the company and go on the next one, or move or change. You always have 2 or 3 companies that you're working with or you're talking to, and you're navigating, making sure sampling is right and the price is right, and you might test a piece or so just to see if it's there. But like anything, if tomorrow something happened to our sock factory, I have to make sure that there's a backup plan, of course, because we literally have tens of thousands of socks on a regular basis going through manufacturing, as long as other products as well. So you can't stop that, so you have to have, you're constantly talking to other people, and you're seeing what's going on and making sure that you're aligned with them, and making sure that, can we try this customer, this factory, and see what it is, do a test run and do it on yourself. That's what great thing is I can do it on my own brand and test it, bring it in, feel it, test it, try it, sell it, see what it does, and make sure it's up to snuff. If it passes a snuff test, then I pass it on to the next guy. But that's like I said, like, we started with socks, hats, beanies. That took 15 years of making sure it's perfect before we really got into offering it to everybody. And then to bring in face mask and neck gaiters, same thing. You're not just going to do it because you're not going to jump on the bandwagon and be, oh, I'm going to make it. No, you need to make sure it's right first, and like anything else, when you're trying to rush, you're going to make mistakes. So you got to be very careful. And we make mistakes. If we had, we first runs of face masks, we made sure we had samples sent. We made sure we made adjustments. We made changes, because not everything's perfect when you first do it. So you have to navigate those things, and the less mistakes you make, the better off you are.
Yeah, it's so easy. I think nowadays, especially, you hear about drop shipping, or people literally just creating websites overnight to sell a product by feeding the pig on Facebook, Amazon ads all week or something, and the product comes in and it's junk, and then these companies don't last very long. Right. It's a lot of wasted time, energy, and
there's pipe dreams. Those are pipe dreams. People are selling you something that there's no real passion of that product. They don't really know the product. They're just putting up funnels and trying to drive people to these things, buying shit products. I would never do that. It's like, at the end of the day, we are a brand, and we have a DNA that's been around for 30 years. That is a brand. I don't want to tarnish that ever, so I can't go, partner with other people and do their stuff if I don't feel proud of what I'm making and doing. I think it's it's tough because people are always looking for a cheap, easy way. Oh, I want to sit back and collect checks and not really go do any work. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. It's just like, I want to be a YouTuber tomorrow. It's just not going to happen. I want to be Joe Rogan podcaster. It's just not going to happen. Those things, like Joe, he didn't go out to say, I want to be the biggest podcaster in the world. The guy just grinded it out, did it every day. He's educated. He knows what he's doing. He's got great group of people coming in, and he chooses who he wants to speak with. And that's what's awesome about, a lot of these things. They're not built to be, hey, I'm going to be a successful business off of this. No, they're built because of passion. They really enjoy that process, and they enjoy grinding it out, and they enjoy, making that, educating other people and doing these things. And all of a sudden they realize, wow, okay, now it is a business. But a lot of things, when you say, oh, I'm going to create a product in China, I think Alibaba is going to make me a widget, and we're going to sell it through here, and we're going to take our cut on it. That's just bad business.
Yeah, I just never understood how people could kind of get behind it. And looking at myself, looking at products, it's like, one, something that I truly love and enjoy and would use, and so if you're out there looking to do something, whether it's sell online or creating a product, You gotta be thinking about that.
Yeah. And I think it's, like anything, passion first. If you can create a good passion for your job, your livelihood, and you can hopefully make it through the rough times without screwing up too bad and come out on the other end, that's just your education. That's your battleground. You can go through that and you can come out the other side and you say, okay, wait a second, and now I've educated myself. Now I've learned that mistake. Now I've created something. And as long as you're not driven by just financial, aspect of it, or I've got to do this, I got to make money and I got to be popular. And I got to have the fancy watch and the fancy car. Forget all that shit. Just do what you really love to do. And hopefully, you do it well enough and make the mistakes early enough. And you get through the other side and you say, oh, now I got a war chest of skills. And now we're here, and before you know it, you'll be there because time does go quickly when you're doing something you really love.
Love it. Love that. Anything else you want to touch on while we're kicking it?
Yeah. The private label thing is, and like I said, it's not the sexiest thing, but at the end of the day, there is something for it. There is a space for it. I think that someone could make, there's other products out there. Let's say someone wants to make, an interchangeable watch that's like a Swatch watch that says, hey, we can change faces out and create this or a belt or, another accessory. It could be as simple as a shoe. It depends on what it is, but they're all brands and products out there that could be. I just gravitated towards the sock business because of the sizing, how the factories I worked with, how I could get things done, how I could, implement the graphics to it. And it just happened to work in my space, in my field. This is long before socks got popular and other brands really jumped in on the bandwagon. But I think that we just set ourselves apart because we were offering it to other people to have the same quality, the same look and feel, taking space for me as well. All those, think about it. If I'm selling socks to these 500 plus brands, and this is hundreds of thousands of, tons and tons of socks, that's potential customers that could have bought my socks and I could have made more money. But at the end of the day, it's like they have the reach, they have that opportunity to get that customer. And like I said, the influencer thing, and these people that are online, people want to buy from the people who are making it. Okay. So like, let's just say that I'm trying to promote an energy drink company. Well, you're promoting it and it's a marketing value. Okay. That person that's out there is promoting the brand. It's a marketing value to that brand, but people aren't just buying it because it says go buy it. Now, if I said, okay, here's the flip to it. The flip is I have ownership in this brand. Here's my water company. I've got ownership. 50 Cent says I got ownership in Vitamin Water. People are going to go do this. When they have ownership in it, people want to resonate to buying a product from them. So that's why I looked at it and said, well, wait a second. They want to buy, they don't want to, if I have people out there pushing my socks, people like it and they understand. They're like, oh, that's a great marketing and that's cool, but they're not really buying my sock. But if I have someone that I'm making a sock for that has a name and it's their sock, people want to buy that sock. So there's a different dynamic there, but it's clearly the return on investment of having someone wear my sock and try to sell it different than them selling their own sock. It's a huge difference. It's a game changer. And that's why you see these mega influencers are now partnered with mega companies, because not only are they just a spokesperson or an influencer, they're a partner. And that partnership is because the actual ROI on that is tremendous, is greatly vast, is much bigger because people want to support that person. And that's where the really big difference is. And that's why you get these major superstars, they become partners. If it's The Rock, says, hey, I got my partnership in this company, and this guy, Kevin, Hart, has his partnership in his underwear, and they all have their pieces in these because those companies know better. They know that it resonates when they're selling something that they have a piece of. And that customer looks up to them and says, I want a piece of what he has. And that's just how it works. It's just a better wheel.
Yeah, you watched that change totally through your time in action sports.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Because it was literally from how much money can we spend on this athlete, the
Yep.
sticker, wrap his car up, whatever,
Yep.
turn to now we actually have products that they can share in the name, the branding of, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's the perfect examples. I mean, Air Jordan. I mean, Nike didn't say, hey, wait a second, we're just going to endorse you. No, we're going to create your own line. Tiger Woods has his own line. I mean, even, having a signature line in the action sports industry was having a signature line, but did you have a piece of the pie? No. When you have a piece of the pie, you are invested. You are going to spend that extra time and effort to really get somebody to come, feel they're organically buying your product. And that's why you see these mega guys. I mean, Slater left Quicksilver, and of course, what's he do? He creates a brand. He's got awareness. He's got, exposure. He's got reach. But he sold Quicksilver, but that brand, that creating a brand of what we were back in the 80s and 90s is totally different now. The way you're buying your product, it's not the brick and mortar store anymore. It's direct to consumer, and it's really driven through all these media outlets.
Well, where does it go from here then? If we've already kind of circled from brand having its own identity to now the individuals are becoming their own identity and brand, do we just continue on this?
That's a great question. I mean, at the end of the day, you are, you're resonating towards that fan or you're talking to that person that's either your fan or someone that you're inspiring or whatever it is. I don't know.
I mean, is the Rock's clothing line with Under Armour going to be bigger than Under Armour? And at what point are the brands going to die?
Well, brands are dying right now. Yeah. I mean, brands are definitely, if you took away, and I'm not saying they're dying like tomorrow, but if you look at the overall picture of brands like mine and a lot of brands that we've lived with, they are dying. They are slowly dying. Brick and mortar's dying. And you just have to understand that's going to happen. And yeah, when you've got a guy, a YouTuber selling that many shirts, it's coming from someone else's pocket, and for me to make socks for 500 brands and those guys they're taking sock money from someone else. So, what's the end be all? I think it's it's hard to say. I mean, your direct to consumer business is going to be pretty strong, I think, for a while. I don't see anything that's really going to change that.
Yeah. It's a hard one.
I think brands are going to have, they're not going to have team athletes like they used to. Hurley was an example. They sold Hurley and of course they got rid of all the riders. I mean, is that going to change the effect of it? Of course. I think it was a bad move on their part, but what do I know? I wasn't my brand, but things are just done differently. I mean, I know for a fact I sold lots of 1,000 stores plus back in the day, and like the Urban Outfitters and the major big stores. And I saw that in the probably late 90s, they would create more brands within their own brand. And because of the vertical margins, they'd sprinkle in all the cool companies, and then they'd put most of their stuff would be their brands. And then as you saw that kind of, that's changing, and it's changing again. The guard's changing, and brands don't have that star athlete is not bringing the dollar amount that that they're really getting paid. That whole thing has changed now. I mean, it's those guys now can go out and do their own thing and sell millions of dollars of clothes. It's crazy.
It is wild. Yeah. You think the athlete that has a big deal with whether it's a drink company or something, they could potentially just have their own.
That's what they're doing.
Branded products.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
And they're doing it in health food, clearly. I mean, all of these health food brands that are out there, there's one manufacturer printing 50 different labels on them.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And it's supplement industries that way. Course, yeah. All the energy drinks are I'm sure there's thousands of energy drinks, and there's probably, only a handful of companies that really do it well. And I'm not saying that I'm just looking at what I've seen over the last 30 years and really kind of how it's changed and how brands have, evolved. And I'm seeing how, these micro influencers, they're great for a marketing thing, but as far as your returning investment to try to utilize them to grow your brand, it's very difficult. So when I have people come to us that, they do it all the time. People have 1 million followers or 2 million or 10 million. They come to us and say, oh, I want to promote your product. I said, that doesn't make sense. I said, wait a second. Why don't you want the long-term money?
So they're coming to try to like promote fuel.
Yeah, they come try to promote fuel. And I go, I mean, it's great. If you like my product and you want to wear it, I'm all happy for it. But for me to pay you to wear my product doesn't make sense. There's no return on it. But if I can make a sock for you and it's your sock and you can sell 2,000 of those and you're making, X amount of dollars on each one, let's just say it's a 5X turn. Well, do the math. I mean, you're clearly making more money if you want to invest the time and energy to create your own brand and have the, to ship it and to do all that stuff and to do this. Now is the time to do it. Everybody's out there to produce a product and you have the voice. You can make way more money than promoting other people's brands than promoting your own brand. So people are like, wait a second, I'm going to create my own lipstick, my own mascara, my own, whatever it may be, if they're in the cosmetic, which is the biggest business out there. Or if they just want to be as simple and say, hey, I only have a hat brand and I have this, but that's whatever their passion is, it shines through.
We talked a little bit at the beginning here, just where you're saying, these YouTubers, these influencers, these athletes, like their job is X. It's that.
Mm-hmm.
We just said here too, though, that they have an opportunity now to create a line.
Yeah.
Again, it's not easy, but where do they start?
Well, that's the thing is do they want to take the time? Because a lot of these athletes, they do work, but they don't work like an entrepreneur. They don't work in a normal 80-hour week like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. But if they have the opportunity to build a brand, because they are each brands, each person is their own brand. If it's like, hey, here's a Ken Roxon or a Jason Anderson or whatever, their household names in that industry, or if it's Slater or any of those guys, and they have the opportunity, they have the reach, and they're passionate about having some funky gear, or we're making something and find the right partners to make the product like myself, then they have that opportunity. Now, are they willing to?
Goes back to willing, the drive. Are they? Yeah.
Yeah. Are they willing to put the time in? Yeah. Or do they have someone they can trust to do it for them? That's, we do stuff for, there's so many companies. From the biggest Hoonigan to Deegan's to you name it. We work with some of the best. Look at the wall. There's Ford and, there's
Primitive, Rockstar,
there's a lot of them.
Coors, Corona.
There's hundreds of brands. It's crazy, but
those Hoonigan socks are sick.
Those are cool. there's some, like Honda. I never thought I'd make stuff for NASCAR teams and tracks and tires and motorcycles and some of the best athletes in the world. And I'm giving them the opportunity. And if they have that reach and they've got a little bit of time, they can do it. They can really be their own brand and create something special. It's just, where are they at in their career? How much time do they have to navigate this? How much time do they want to, put into it? Are they looking at their future? Like when I started Fuel, I was just on the snowboard tour and I knew that snowboarding was not going to last very long. I knew, okay, well, snowboarding's fun. I can make a little bit of money. I can hitchhike around the country and I can sleep on floors and really get a great experience out of it. And all my friends that rode with me know that that's just how I was. I was just like, okay, this is it. But I already thinking in my mind, what's the next avenue? What's the next thing I can do that's going to solidify myself as a business person? And then navigated into private label eventually down the road. And I said, okay, we got to make this switch again. We got to change gears. And those athletes out there, at the end of the day, if they really are taking the time to grow their brand themselves in a unique manner that people really respect it, there is an opportunity to do a lot in that business, that space. And, with help with guys like myself, they can really navigate it much faster than when I started. There was nobody like that. So it was like, oh yeah, we're going to go down to Soho, pick up some fabric, run over to Philadelphia, cut some yarn, go over here to get it sewn. Like that, those days are just not, it's just not happening. Like, and the way we're selling product and the way we do margins and the way everything is different now. So, it's definitely an opportunist time now for those people who have that reach and that, and have that fellowship, the followers to bond with, they can really do something unique. And I think it's awesome, because as a professional athlete, I never thought to myself, there was no social media back then, and there was a lot of, photography was terrible. Now we have so much at our fingertips. We can do everything with the phone. You can literally do your whole company on your phone now. And
you build a website, you can do everything.
Yeah, it's 100%. Crazy. It's all connected. It's just, I'm not saying it's easier, but the entry is easier. And you
can test things quicker. You can learn what's not working. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't believe in, I'll be the first to admit, like, we build everything on organic, traffic. We build it on organic followers. We build it on handshakes and literally learning the industry and going and meeting people and those relationships. That's how I sell my business. Now, sure, there's other people that come out of the box and they have way more tools than I do and have more money and they go instantly. But I look at the game at 30, 40 years long. I'm fine with it. I'd rather make, nickels every day than make $3 tomorrow and be out of business. It's just not, my mindset's in a different place, and I will, keep doing what I'm doing and providing, it's not just myself, but my employees, but everybody else that believes in the brand. There's a lot to it. It's a lot of mistakes, and you fix it and you make it better, and you keep working on it. And then if I make mine better, then when I make my private label for other people, that's better. So that's the end be all is we can make a better product for them. They're not out there trying to figure it out. We're doing all this every day, for hundreds of people. So, we find something that flips a switch and we go, oh, wow, this is something technique that we can use on this. Let's try it. Let's implement that. We can do it much faster than most people.
That's awesome. And then the compounding aspect of it just grows and grows.
Yeah. And that's where people just don't understand that, and I try to tell people all the time that want to get in this business, you got to start off on a very small scale. Think very, very, if it's 100 pieces you're making for somebody and that person turns into 300 pieces, turns into 500 pieces, and it literally compounds. As long as you're doing your job right, it works. It makes sense. It's just people they want the 5,000 piece order, the 10,000, 100,000. When I get a 100,000 piece plus order, I don't even think of it as a part of our day-to-day thing. And we do those orders. People order 60,000 of these or 100,000 of those, 140,000 or something. We've done those, but I don't look at that as like, hey, okay, tomorrow is going to be different. No, we still got to worry about the 100-piece order guy, because that 100-piece guy is going to turn into a 200-piece who's going to turn into 10,000 or 100,000 pieces down the road. That's what you have to think. And if you get each one of your customers to stick in that same thing, he turned into, a 10,000-piece order person, and all of a sudden you grew him with the other 100 people. You know what I'm saying? So you can't look at those and go, oh yeah, everybody needs to be a 100,000-piece order or a 50,000-piece order. No, it's nice, great, but I don't celebrate it all. I literally don't look at it like, oh wow, that's awesome. I go, okay, who's the 100? We need to concentrate on all these guys that are the 100 and 200, because they're going to be, if we do it right and they do their job right, they're going to be there as well. And we're going to grow everybody at the, at the same scale. So, most people probably would go out and buy themselves a new car and be like, oh yeah, we made it. No, that's the dumbest thing in the world. Like, you got to look at those things as like, okay, that's icing on the cake. Great. Put it away. Don't even look at it. Keep moving forward. Keep, and my guys will tell you, I'm here all day, every day. And I'll work just as hard for the guy who places 500 piece or 200 piece order, because I want that guy to succeed. I want him to come back and go, wow, you guys did a great job. Let me order that again. And my customer really thought that was a great product. And that's what fuels me in that building the brands, building our partnerships, and, that's most important. At the end of the day, we want to build relationships, and those partnerships are what make, obviously we don't know there's going to be, total U.S. meltdown on this or a virus or this I mean, there's just so many things that you just don't know what's going to happen. But if you keep doing your job and you keep thinking about it in small baby steps, they'll become something. That'll become, you look back and go, wow, that was a lot of little steps to get here. Like, okay, like we're actually moved. We didn't even have to look back, now we're moving.
You're here.
And, and I look at it when I first started, with $1,200, and now I just look back and go, okay, that was good, but how do we do it better? How do we make our business better for other people? And doing it with a very small crew. Like we have other competitors that do things like we do that have 60, 70 people in their crew at their office. And we're doing numbers that are very close to them with, not even close to the numbers of people. I mean, it's crazy. Like, but that's just efficiency and, just a dire need for me to fulfill my dream of making a business work.
Yeah. I think that's a great lesson in customer care as well as just how you treat people in general. You're taking care of every customer as if they are that million piece order.
Yeah, that's the thing is you have to. I mean, I do it every single day. People come to me and they're like, oh, you don't want to do my work. It's 100 pieces. I go, no, you don't understand. Some of my best customers today only did 300 pieces on their first order. So why wouldn't I take that? Why wouldn't I look at that lesson and go, yeah, this guy only ordered 100. This customer I've had for 3 years, now he does 500 piece orders. He used to do 100, what I mean? Like he's growing and we're helping him grow. So that's at the end of the day, you got to make everybody, you're part of the family. You're part of the wheel.
Yeah. I get blown away. I think a lot of times, even some agencies I used to work with, they didn't have room for more jobs. Mm-hmm. So they would just stop taking potential new clients, or a sponsorship would come on board for maybe a podcast or something. They had no room for it, so they just wouldn't even take the call. Mm-hmm. But you always want to be open to it. You want to at least sit down, get the numbers, understand what they're wanting, if you're a good fit, because you never know where that's going to go. And same thing with meeting people,
and people come to us and ask us to do all kinds of things. They're like, oh, well, you can do this, this, and this. Why don't you do this for us? I said, no, you don't understand. I am good at these products. Sure, I can make that other product and that product and that product, but would I do you disservice? Yes, because I can do these exactly the way I want to do it. Exact time, exact price, exact margins, everything works. I can make money, you can make money, and we all are going to create a better brand. That's really, I've really looked at every product and I literally look at it. Where are the margins? How do I make it? How do I get in? How do I implement it? And is it something that people need? Do they really need to have that? And do they really feel like they're being creative and really making that product the best it can be? I don't want to just say, hey, your logo can go here and it's all that can happen. No, you can. I mean, a lot of people ask us for our opinion and us to create things for them. But it's more fun when we kind of talk to them, get an idea. I can sit down with, X guy athlete and sit there and go, hey, what are you feeling? And kind of go from there and then send them back something and go, this is what I think you're thinking. Right. And then most of the time they're like, yeah, that's awesome. And then you know your customer, that what they want. And then you can go back to them and go, hey, what do you think of this? And they're like, oh shit, I didn't think of that. You know what I mean? But I do it all the time. I'll think of some new way of doing something, and I'll go, I remember this customer. This is what I think they might like, and I'll mock it up for them and send it to them. And they didn't even ask for it. And I'll go, hey, what do you think of this? And they're like, shit, I need that.
Gets the gears going a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're like, where's the money for this? Oh yeah, I'll find it.
Yeah. 100%. And these guys, I mean, we can all learn from each other. I mean, I work with like I said, some of the best athletes in the world, some of the best, as far as media people in the world. Like that's what they're good at, and that's their gift. Great. you're great at doing this and this and this, but this is what I do. And I'm going to be the best I can possibly be at this position and help that other partner be the best at what they can be, So it's a win, and I think there's a lot to it. I mean, I don't get up and go, I don't want to go to work. And I love it. I enjoy every bit of it. Of course there's times that I'm going, oh, what happened to that? How did that happen? And you got to navigate through it, and you just got to go, okay, let's keep moving forward. It's just a little sidestep, but we'll figure it out. And that's what's most important. If you can go every day and really, really thoroughly enjoy your process, it's the baby steps will come. I mean, the leaps, the baby steps will turn into leaps and you won't even know it. You're like, holy shit. Like, how did we pull that off? Like, it wasn't because we got lucky. There's no luck in this game. There's just opportunity. You just have to create that opportunity by being there every day doing it. That's my nutshell. It's like, there's no luck in the game.
No, that's huge. And you are. I mean, you're in it every day. You're on the road all the time. Like I said in the last podcast, one of the hardest working guys I know in terms of making sure you're present. So love it. All right, man. Well, any other tips?
Yeah.
Shane's just thinking, like, what else do I got hiding?
There's a lot. I mean, obviously that's business, and everybody is not born to be in business. That is 100%. I see it a lot. I mean, you can't, just because you have an exposure rate of X, factor, doesn't mean you're in business. Do you have the patience? Do you have the tenacity to do it? Those are all things that really make business. You got to learn to fall down a bunch and figure out how to get up and do it. And that's cliche, but at the end of the day, it's like, you have to enjoy the journey. It's not about the destination. Don't be like, oh, I got to do this until I get a car, and I got to do this until I get the watch. No, it's just, you're doing it because you're passionate about doing it. And if you can get to the, where you're like, hey, here's a milestone, I sold 15 hats this week, and next week I sold 20 hats, and just baby stepping it and figuring out, it may not be your calling, but if you can have enough passion for it and you can do it on the side hustle and you can create it and make it your main gig, man, do it. I mean, we're in the place to do it. This is America. And we have the freedom to do it, and we have the wherewithal, and we have the technology. It's all there. And I believe that everybody has opportunity. It just depends on what your work ethic is.
Yeah, totally. Well, if anybody has any questions or anything about private labeling, can they reach out to you?
Sure.
And where do they find you at?
Fuelclothing.com is our website, and for there you can see all our private label products. But I mean, it's, at Fuel Clothing on Instagram. I think it's the same thing on Facebook as well. But honestly, just, it's one of those things. You just leave a comment or something and someone will find me. Just
drop in his DMs. So
yeah, it doesn't matter. It's, we get it every day and people email and it's literally, it's word of mouth. I mean, it's the craziest thing. And it's just, I guess you do good business and they eventually will come around. And I can tell stories that people would throw me out of. It's funny. I mean, people throw me out of events for trying to sell product at the events when I really shouldn't have been, but I needed the money to make to the next event. Those people now are buying products from me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm making products for these people, and it's really kind of, ironic that at the end of the day, like, it's a big circle, and I just stuck with it, and it didn't mean I became successful at it. It's just that I had an opportunity and I decided to honor my gift and said, okay, this is what I'm good at. And, I'm not going to give up on it. And, is it going to be the brand that everybody loves? No, but at the end of the day, I'm helping create your brand. And that's what the most important thing is.
That's awesome. All right, guys. And if you're an influencer, a band, a company, and you want to get your own socks, hats, or even face masks for that matter, hit up Fuel Clothing. They're going to take care of you. So Shane, dude, I think we're going to have to catch up again, like we said, in Park City, and we might talk social media.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I know that.
Yeah.
there's some tricks there. But
Yeah. So
I had to do that in Park.
Yeah, Park City's coming.
The new location.
Yep, Park City will be in October. I'm looking forward to it.
I think we talked a little bit about this, but what are you most excited about for Park City?
Wow,
It's so much, but
yeah, mountain biking and snowboarding, motocross, just a state of sport. It's a great place. There's a lot of outdoor enthusiasts. There's just, and I love the beach. Don't get me wrong. I was born on the beach. I love it. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to go saying I wish I would have moved there and done that and never did it. I had a hunch of it years ago, and I really wanted to, and I had to wait till the right time to do it and the right position financially and to build the right property. We're very fortunate. We get to build a whole new facility out there in Park City. Right down the road from Woodward, right down the road from 5 mountains are all within of reach of us. I just think there's a lot of opportunity, not just for private label, but just for my mental clarity and testing products and being outdoors. And I just see opportunity there that we don't have here. And, there will be a day when I decide that, I've had enough of this. And then I don't want to be like, oh, I wish I would have done that, and took advantage of that. And like anything else, it's a challenge. You go out there and you build it, and does my customer that I do private label for, he doesn't care that I'm in Park City. But as far as a brand and me building great products and me being outdoors and testing and just the overall, the sheer fact of being inspired by other people, that's something that I think there's an X factor there that I don't have here, where, I think there's opportunity for me out there for greater things and some bigger business and just personal growth, for me to be outside and mentally enjoying my physical self as far as being outside and doing things, and I can do that here, but not as the access isn't as great. And I've obviously been a snowboarder, particularly my whole life, really enjoyed the snowboard culture and skateboard and it's just a lot of outdoors. The mountain biking scene looks pretty sick, and what Woodward's done is amazing. I think there's going to be an incubator of amazing athletes coming out of Park City because of that as well. So I think, just like we talked about last time, I think there's a great opportunity for us to connect with a lot of great athletes from all over the world that come through there, and just inspiring people. So I really think kind of me playing around in the podcast world out there to really kind of, connect with some people and really share some things that I see out there. I think there might be opportunity as well.
That would be awesome. Can't wait to see it. And if you guys make sure you follow along the adventure at Fuel Clothing. And this has been another episode of Chasing Independence. We're going to have to call this like Chasing Independence on the road or something, because literally we're in the middle of this road trip, Max Dog and I. But dude, thank you for dropping some more knowledge this time. Can't wait for next time.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. We'll catch you all on the flip side. All right. Hope you all enjoyed that episode with Shane Levi Gould. Had a blast getting up to Hilton Head and staying with him in his little surf, skate, shop, motocross kind of garage. Really cool, curated space. And he had a little apartment in there that I stayed in. That was really great. So anyways, I thought it was kind of funny though, because like I'm such a morning person and I've been on the road all day, was just slammed and tired already from my first day of traveling. And Shane, I think, really thrives in the late afternoons into the evenings because he's so used to being on these calls with the Philippines and his manufacturing partners that he has to take kind of calls late into the night. So he got off his final one around 9 o'clock and was like, "Hey man, you want to do that podcast?" I'm like, "Yep, let's do it." Tomorrow's gonna be a pretty hectic day. I'm taking off as well in the following day. So yeah, let's knock it out. So I hope it wasn't too obvious I was kind of falling off at the end there, but I was really just kind of intrigued by what white labeling was and how he's been able to take that part of his company and grow it so much. So hope you guys got some good knowledge out of that. And I remember as a little kid, like traveling over to Shenzhen, China, and running into these kind of businessmen who were over there just looking for all sorts of product and working on the process and trying to find ways to bring it back to the States or back to Europe. And they would create these couple thousand piece orders for individual clients, and that's kind of what they did. They would develop a process, make sure the system worked, quality control, all that kind of good stuff, and then they're able to package and resell that kind of back in their respected areas. So I thought that was really cool, and kind of exactly what Shane's been putting together this last 25 years. So it doesn't take, I think, the knowledge or the know-how as much as that kind of core idea that you have to stay dedicated and work hard, and you're on the grindstone like all the time, thinking about how do you make this system better, how do you get the better product, better quality, better cost, and I think that's kind of just the nature of the beast. All right, we're going to wrap this one up. So if you guys liked the episode, give it a thumbs up, give it a shout, give it a subscribe, share it, post it on Instagram, tag me at Chase Sellmeyer. If you know of anybody that would be a good fit for the show, maybe an action sport athlete who's gone on to do something really cool in his business or personal life, send them my way. Love to talk to them. And really appreciate you guys sticking around as I figure out kind of how to turn this show from 0 to 11. We're going to turn it up, guys, and it's going to be a lot of fun as we get through this process, but thank you for sticking around. It means everything to me. So, all right, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, keep kicking ass. This is Chase, the Chase Independent Podcast. I'll catch you on the flip side.